All right, well, here we are, another Thursday, another webinar. Dave will not be joining us today, so I'm going to run this solo, but I've got plenty of good things to go over as always, so I don't think that'll be a problem. Before we get into it, I just want to remind folks, before I forget, that there's a survey at the end, if you don't mind taking a few seconds to rate how I am doing on this today, as well as how we're doing overall. And if you're viewing my screen here, real quick, because we might have some new folks each week, or maybe you haven't been in a webinar in a while, in the upper right, above the Help Center, there's a View Weekly Website Tutorials link. And if you click on that, that will take you to our one of our web pages that allows you to sign up for the webinar and view all the previous episodes that we have done. So again, in the Control Center, in the upper right, above the Help Center, View Weekly Website Tutorials. So today, I believe last week we had mentioned a sneak peek that we're going to start getting into a different tab of the Control Center, and that will happen probably next week. But since last Thursday, we've had quite a few, or should I say some important website updates that we want to make sure to get out to you folks. So on my other screen that you can't see, I have some notes I'm going to follow along methodically here, so that's why I have quite a few tabs open. But I'm going to go through each of these updates that we have put out there and kind of let you know what's been going on with our dev team and let you know some progress and so forth. So I don't think there's anything else I wanted to mention, so we'll get into it. In the workflow tab, depending on your view, you may have categories collapsed on the left. So if we look at my screen here, I'm going to start collapsing all these. If you open up, I'm sorry, not categories, view columns. If you open up the view columns section, this is where you can check mark the different columns that you want to show up in workflow. This would also allow you to export the columns. Well, we added a column called customer rep. So if I already have this selected, but if you select the customer rep tab and then you scroll over a little bit, you will see the customer rep that's listed for each individual that placed an order or a file or an estimate on the website. So there's a customer rep listed. We thought, well, actually, we heard from a couple folks that mentioned it'd be nice to know who the customer rep is for those that are doing business on the website. So we have added a new column called customer rep. Again, that is when you click on the workflow tab and you scroll on the left under view columns, you want to make sure that this is arrowed down so that it opens up. And about, almost halfway down, we'll say 2/3, customer rep checkbox. If you select customer rep, then there is a column that shows up to the right of, if I remember, I think it might have been the email. Let me go back over here. A couple over. We have some other information, then the email, the company if they're affiliated with one, if there's a branch, and then the customer rep will show up. So that's something new that we've implemented since we met last Thursday. Continuing on in my list of updates, we're going to quick go back. I know I'd mentioned a couple webinars ago about UDesignIt PDFs opening, how they open depending on the user that's needing to open them. There's one important point or bullet of that I wanted to mention. In addition to an approver that may need to open a UDesignIt PDF to look at the file and to approve it, what I'm about to show you is also true for a UDesignIt PDF at the bottom of an order form connected to UDesignIt. Originally, our URLs were opening in a URL that was perceived by some corporate customers as unsafe or unsecure. It wasn't really recognized by some of our print shop's customers. So what we have done is changed a little bit. So now if I was to open the UDesignIt PDF at the bottom of an order form that's connected to UDesignIt, if you can see here, and I'll highlight it, that URL is now connected or a part of your website URL. So my original website was tankprinting.securePrintOrder.com. When I opened the UDesignIt PDF, again, at the bottom of the order form, before the order is placed, these PDFs will now open in a URL that's connected or part of your website. Before it was something like secure to, I don't believe it mentioned anything related to your website. So now this way, this will be consistent whether the UDesign It PDF is opened at the bottom of an order form, or as an example, if an approver needs to open up a UDesign It PDF in their account to look at it before they approve it, the URL will be connected or a part of the URL of your website. So this is kind of more, a little bit secure, well, definitely a lot more secure, I should say, because those corporate customers will see that that URL is related to the website that folks are already in and placing orders and so forth. So that's another update that we have made since last week, or that we want to make sure we mention. Another update that we've made is on the Meet Our Staff page. So before maybe I show you what we did, maybe you're wondering, well, what is our Meet Our Staff, or what is that? If we go back to the Control Center, got to get to the tab that has it, and click on Web Pages. Now we've covered this, probably a couple, maybe even a couple months ago, depending on. There is a Featured Pages tab under Web Pages, Featured Pages, and there's a Meet Our Staff page. If you have this turned on, the Meet Our Staff page will show up under, well, if you have it turned on to show up, it'll show up under the About Us tab. So I won't get too deep into that. But what I want to show you is if there's an email connected for that staff member, there's a little blue envelope icon. Prior, that wasn't really doing anything, or at least that pop-up was showing up in an area of the screen that couldn't really be seen. But now if you click on that blue envelope, you can send an email message to that individual or that print shop employee specifically. So Tank Fargo, my dog, is employed here. I'm going to click on the envelope because I want to email this employee or this print shop employee. If you click on the little envelope, you can say your name if you want, company name, for sure, the email, what's your message, and then you can send that on, and that employee will receive that email in their email account. So that's been updated. So now the blue envelope icon will send an email message. All right, terms and conditions. Let me pull up the correct one here. What was happening before is for those print shops of ours that were not subscribed to the Help Center, and we had mentioned this a couple weeks ago now, what was happening was the terms and conditions was not appearing on their website. What should be happening is, even if you are not subscribed to our Help Center, that the terms and conditions is available to you, will show up on your website and is editable. So in this case, on this other window of my website, I do have the Help Center turned off. You do not see the Help Center tab in the header in this nav bar of my website. However, scrolling down on this website, for those of you that are not subscribed to the Help Center, terms and condition is still going to be listed down below under help and support. It might be the only link there, depending if you're subscribed to, say, the templates and reorder forms or what have you. But terms and conditions will now show up in the footer, regardless if you're subscribed to our Help Center. So if I click on that, and this is going to take me directly to the terms and conditions page. This is editable. I went over that in a previous webinar from the Control Center, but you can edit your terms and conditions. But we want to make sure to let folks know that we did a follow-up. We made sure that now terms and conditions is available to those that are not subscribed to the Help Center. If we go back to what I want to go over next. This one will be a little more difficult to show you, which is probably good because it was fixed. With reorder forms that were connected to UDesign It in a pull-down menu or drop-down menu, and actually I have some screen captures to show you what it looked like before and after. What was happening is, in this example here, in the pull-down menu, I had a comma and then one space and then whatever you might needed to have after that. So be parentheses, a comma, a space, and then something after. What the system was doing was putting in, if you can look at it here, it's a little hard to tell, see if I can zoom in. It was putting in an extra space after the, before the comma. So it wasn't being formatted properly as it should be. We have fixed that now, so you're gonna simply have your parentheses, no space, then your comma, then a proper space, and then whatever's coming after it. So again, this was only occurring with what's considered pull-down menu type of questions. And if you were to go in here and if you were to edit and you were to have a parentheses and then you were to have a comma and then something after it, we have that fixed now, so that extra space will not show up on the front facing of the order form. And of course, that error won't show up anymore, and which is a good thing. So we have that fixed, so I can't show you. But I do know that when I tested this after that fix came through, all is well, there is no extra space now. And the last thing as part of my notes that I'd like to go over is considered account approvals. So this is under the Accounts tab, Account Settings, and going down here, there's the Account Approval button. This is actually only available to us, but I know that with previous webinars, and as we may have done some onboarding sessions with folks, this does show up. If for any reason we were asked to drill down to, say, a particular company as an example, and you want to make sure that new accounts that are submitted under a certain company require your approval before they can view order forms, before they can send a file or what have you. What was happening is we would set this up at the company level and set new accounts require approval, but for whatever reason that did not carry through. And what I mean by, well, what do you mean by new accounts require approval? Here in your accounts customer list, then there'd be a toggle and you could determine, here's an example of someone that's grayed out that create an account. I have set for this company that they require approval before they can do business on your website. So these toggles show up for this company only because back under this account approval tab, I have it set that new accounts require approval. That invokes this toggle to show up and I can say, yes, I want to make this person active. Do you want to notify them that their account is active with this pop-up? You can cancel that to say no or yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, if you take the check mark off, that allows you whether or not you want to notify them via an email that their account is active. I'm going to leave it yes and select go ahead. Now this person is active. They can submit an order, they can submit a file, they can do business on your website. Not many folks probably either know about or need to have that, but we want to make sure to let you know that for those that may have had a company drill down to require accounts approval, these toggles were not showing up at the company level. So that's been updated. So now you can go ahead and approve any of those counts if you have that setting in your control center. So with that, those are the updates and things that we've been busy with since last week. And I know I revised maybe one of those topics with the UDesign It PDFs just to make sure we went full circle with the update with UDesign It PDFs. Barring anything unforeseen, which you never know, we do intend to continue on in the control center, going through the tabs at the top. And our plan is to start with the My Website tab, but of course things may change. So with that, I just ask you if you have any comments or anything to rate us there when we end this meeting. I'm just quick looking to see if there were any questions and I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the chat. So with that, I'll sign off and we'll check back with you guys next Thursday with a new topic. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye.